All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever stopped to think about what the actual difference is between a rock and a rabbit? I mean, it seems super obvious, right? But what's the secret work that all living things are doing, every single second, just to, well, stay living? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So let's start with what feels like a really simple question. You and I, we have this gut feeling, right? We just know what's alive and what isn't. But here's the thing. The moment you try to write down a solid, black and white rule for it, it gets surprisingly complicated, really fast.
I mean, it really feels like it should be easy, doesn't it? But think about it. What's the one single test you could use to be 100% certain? Is there really a clear, defining line?
Okay, so our first instinct, almost always, is to look for movement. You see a dog running? Easy. A person shouting? Yep, clearly alive. We see that action, and our brain just instantly clicks alive. We take that movement as proof, plain and simple.
But okay, things get a little more subtle, right? What about a sleeping person? They're not running or shouting, but we can still spot the movement, that gentle rise and fall of their chest, and that tiny clue is enough. We know they're alive. So for now, our movement rule seems to be holding up. And this is where that simple, neat definition completely breaks down. A plant. We all agree a plant is alive, no question. We know it grows over time, but you can't see it moving from one moment to the next. So, if visible movement isn't the one universal rule, then what is?
So this all leads us to a really important conclusion. What our eyes can see, well, it's not the whole story. It's a good starting point, for sure, but it's not the real definition of life. The actual answer is hidden on a scale that's way, way smaller. You see, the real secret, the one true universal sign of life, is happening on a scale that's totally invisible to our eyes. It's going on inside every single living cell, all the time, without ever stopping.
And here it is. The one true test for life is molecular motion. It's this constant, invisible dance of molecules that's the one thing all life has in common. I'm talking from a tiny bacterium all the way up to a giant blue whale. This is the fundamental, non-stop work of being alive.
So, why is this constant motion so incredibly important? Well, think of it like this. Living things are these beautiful, highly organized structures. But the universe, it loves chaos. It's always trying to break things down. Everything, from a single cell to a massive star, is constantly heading towards decay. That molecular motion, that's the work life does to fight back.
And the source material we're looking at lays out the stakes pretty clearly. It says, if this organized structure breaks down, the organism will no longer be alive. It's really that simple. The second that work stops, life stops. And that, right there, gets to the very heart of what we're talking about. Being alive isn't just a state of being. It's an incredibly active, energy-burning process. It's a constant fight against breaking down. Every single living thing is always repairing itself just to stay in one piece. And this crucial work, we call it maintenance. Okay, so how do living things actually do all this constant life-saving maintenance? Well, they use a specific toolkit, a whole collection of essential processes. Let's take a look at what's in that kit.
This whole toolkit goes by one name, life processes. And a great way to think about it is like the complete job description for staying alive. It's the list of all the functions an organism has to perform to keep its internal machinery from, falling apart.
So here are the 4 fundamental tools in that kit. First up, you've got nutrition. That's all about getting energy from the outside world. Then there's respiration. That's how you break that energy source down into usable fuel. Next is transport, which is basically the delivery system for getting that fuel and other materials to every single cell. And last but not least, excretion. You got to get rid of all the toxic waste that gets made in the process.
All right, let's zoom in on that first one, nutrition. When it comes to getting food and energy, pretty much all life on Earth falls into one of 2 major categories. There are 2 big strategies.
So on one side, you have the autotrophs. You can think of them as the self-feeders. These are organisms like green plants that literally make their own food from simple stuff like sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. Then on the other side, you've got the heterotrophs, the other feeders. And yeah, that's us. We have to eat complex things like plants or other animals to get the energy we need.
Now for those autotrophs, all the magic happens inside these tiny little factories called chloroplasts. If you could zoom way down and look inside a plant's leaf cells, you'd see them everywhere.
This is the exact spot where photosynthesis happens, that incredible process of turning pure sunlight into usable energy.
Okay, so life has its fuel source, but how an organism uses that fuel really changes depending on its size. See, as life gets bigger and more complex than just a single cell, it hits a massive logistical problem.
Think about it. If you're a single-celled organism, life is pretty straightforward. Your entire body, your whole surface, is in direct contact with the environment. You can just absorb food and get rid of waste right through your skin, so to speak. Easy peasy.
But now, think about a big multicellular organism like us. The vast majority of our cells are buried deep inside our bodies. They have absolutely no direct contact with the outside world.
This creates a huge problem. That simple process of diffusion, where nutrients just kind of slowly seep from one cell to the next, is nowhere near fast enough to work in a large body. A cell deep inside you would starve to death long before any nutrients could get to it.
So what was the solution? Specialization. Multicellular life had to evolve dedicated, specialized systems to solve this exact problem. Things like a transport system. Our circulatory system is a perfect example. To act like a superhighway for delivering food and oxygen. And an excretory system to work as the garbage collection service for every single one of those cells.
So let's circle all the way back to that big question we started with. What is life? And now we see it's not just about moving around or getting bigger. It's about this constant, invisible work. It is a relentless, energy-guzzling process of just holding yourself together while the entire universe is trying to tear you apart. And that leaves us with one final, fascinating little puzzle. Viruses. You see, on their own, they show zero molecular motion. They're basically inert little crystals. But the moment they infect a living cell, they explode into activity. So based on everything we've just talked about, are they truly alive? That's a really interesting one to chew on.